So we have two amazing speakers today. We have Nicole Shapiro and Mark Bone, and they're both going to be giving you some very unique talks from a technical standpoint and a more sort of theoretical story standpoint. So first up, we have Nicole Shapiro, who is a working professional cinematographer. She's been working for over 5 years in the industry. She also focuses on video producing, and we worked together a few years ago, and I was blown away how talented she was back then, so now she's on a different level. So she's got something really fun and exciting. We cooked up something that's going to feel very different and unique. So without further ado, let's give it up for Nicole Shapiro.
Feel free to get comfortable. If you guys want to sit down, get cozy.
Where's the mute on this guy? We didn't figure that out.
I think it's just power on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And guys, if you could please make sure to not cross over the cameras. So please do not walk in front of the cameras, and make sure that you are all the way behind the white line. No feet over the white line, all the way behind it.
Mic check.
Keep going. Keep going. Is he in frame?
Can you turn to the argument?
Yeah.
Is Mark in frame?
I think you're probably okay.
I'm gassing right now, so
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's okay.
Get started.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So many of you have come up to me and said oh, I'm so excited for your talk. So this is very special to me because in my journey of cinematography, lighting has always been the thing that I have been stumped on. How do I figure this out? I need fixtures, I need to understand what flags are and diffusion and all this stuff. There's so many things that is involved with lighting. And so with John and I sitting here, I don't know if anyone has any opinions about this current setup, but in my opinion, as of right now, it looks like shit. There's some things that can be changed about this set, and I would encourage everyone, just for the next 5 seconds or so, just look at it and think, okay, what's off about this? If you came into this room thinking, at the beginning, while you guys were shooting, it looked fine. We fixed everything. But we have changed some things now, and these are decisions that I would never make on a set. So if you come into this space and you're looking at the monitor now thinking, something's not right, you guys you already have a dub. You're already winning because you're thinking, you have taste, right? You're thinking, okay, something's not right. What is it? And as creatives, we're always, I guess, influenced by what we see. We're always consuming content. There's so much content out there. So I would like to do a couple changes to the set to get it back to where it was, and then I'll talk about what I did. So just, I guess, hang tight for a sec. I'm going to change some things, and then we'll talk about it. I don't know if I can mute this, but...
Hey guys, can we just kill the music?
Yeah.
Rob, can you get them to kill the music?
Yo, DJ.
The music's okay.
There you go.
Thank you. So guys, keep an eye on the monitor, because this is Nicole's frame. Just a few tech specs for what she's shooting on. She's capturing on the Sony FX3 with a 50mm 1.8 prime. She's shooting at the base ISO, which is 800, Nicole?
800,
800.
Yeah.
So keep it on the frame and just take a mental image of that, because it's changing before your eyes.
Do one of these, do one of these. Whoa. Revolutionary.
And Nicole, let me know when you want the...
Is this flag in frame, anyone? Can you see?
No, you're good.
Sick.
You get a grip credit now.
Nice. Okay, and then the lamps, John?
And so I'm not on my phone for this talk. I'm actually using an app called Sidus Link, which works with aperture lights. And I purposely set these to a very, very ugly 10,000 Kelvin at full intensity with a green shift. So it's supposed to be that uncomfortable hospital lighting. And with a touch of a button, I'm going to make it look a lot nicer. So there's one light. And then I have these presets made. And then here's the other light. There we go.
Okay, so little things like adding a grid, having a flag, making sure your practicals look like legit practicals. These are like little things to judge a set, essentially. So one thing that I want to talk about is when you have a light like this and you have a two-person interview, basically, what you want to do is focus on having your shadow side face camera. So that is like in any reference, movie reference, if you guys know what shot deck is, if you know what frame set is, these are all like reference libraries that have, anyone know frame set, shot deck? Anyone? Yeah? Okay, good. So if you don't, they're just websites. They have reference images from movies, TV shows, commercials. And if you were to search single talent or double talent, whatever, these reference images, if you can see the frame now, if me and John are speaking like this, right? This side of my face is a little darker than this side, right? And that just adds depth. And that is the whole thing that everyone chases, is depth. How do I separate me and John from the background? So there are a couple things that we did. This flag is basically preventing this light, which is hitting me. It's like my key. This is basically called the cross key. So this light is hitting me on this side, and this light is hitting John on this side. Because we're very close together, it also kind of adds a hair light to John, which basically just accentuates like an outline of him. And if you can see on the monitor, yeah, right there. So that's kind of hitting him. It's like a dual purpose. It's very efficient, which I love, because usually if you're on a set, you don't have a lot of time, and you also, usually don't have a lot of money. So if you can have one light do multiple things, you're winning.
And just for clarification, so people don't think a hair light is like literally for lighting up hair. Can
Yes.
you give them a quick debrief on what?
Another word is like an edge light. So like if you have to think, the one takeaway is, okay, I need depth and I need to separate my talent from the background. The edge light will do that, because if you see, I have dark here, I have light here, then I have dark, the navy, right, on the wall, then the lamp is bright. Then it's like, if you see that kind of domino effect of dark light, that pattern, then you're winning. So this here, you can even see this on my hair here, that's coming from this light back here. So one thing you could do at home is, if you have any sort of light, I don't know why this made so much sense when I first did it, but if I'm looking at this image and I can't figure out where exactly the light is coming from, I'm like, I know that it's light here, but where is it actually coming from? Just try to block it. Try to figure out that I'm blocking it like now, right there. So I know the source is coming from this way, because this could be it could be an ambient, it could come from anywhere, right? Like if I go like this to John, where is it? Like there, I'm blocking him. So this source is here. Like you just kind of trace it back, you know what I mean? So anyway, there's some little physics that happen where I think that was my one struggle of where is the light source? Because when you're looking at references, it looks easy. It's like, oh yeah, of course, you put the key on the other side and then shadow side you're facing the camera. So yeah, I would just encourage you to think about how can you create shadow first, and then it's just the opposite. It's like that's where your light is coming from.
And
so,
once you guys start to play more with lighting, you'll start to see lighting happening in real time when you're watching film and television. Like if you watch reality TV or sort of 3-camera setups for like sitcoms, it's just all like top-down lighting, just everything's lit.
mm-hmm.
But when you get to more proper narrative, that's when you start to see lighting have a real functional place. Like you can't just have a light hitting someone's face for no reason. You can take creative liberties, of course, but you really have to think about why is that light hitting their face.
Yeah, Mark's definitely gonna talk about the why in his segment, but I always emphasize intentionality with how you are gonna light something, and because we're cross-keyed right now, it's natural for you to think, okay, when you see the frame, if you're looking at the frame, this lamp looks like it's actually hitting me here. But that's not where the source is. The source is from that lamp, from my actual light. This lamp is causing this kind of spot on the wall a little bit. So it's all an illusion. Film is all fake. So you kind of have to lean into that, right? And anyway, I knew as I saw the space and it was a 2-person interview, I thought, okay, I want to cross key this for sure. So if I have technically two sources, like one is hitting me, one is hitting John, I would want to have lamps play. Like I would want to put a lamp here so that it makes sense to your eye. Like, oh, what? Like, why would I be lit on this side of my face? Oh, it's because there's a lamp behind me. Like, that makes sense. So if anything, sometimes you might even have to just start with set design first. Like, place your lamps where you kind of naturally would have them. Like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. I think that maybe that's where we get really overwhelmed, where it's like, oh, I have to make a whole living room, I have to get an interior design degree, like what's going on? It's just like, where do you think a lamp would go? It'd go on a table, so just put it on the table, and then from there, that's how you know where you're gonna motivate your light. You know what I mean? If you know you have to have your shadow side here, where my camera's here, and your light is here, what is gonna push light on this side? So that's kind of why I put the lamp there, and then that's why that lamp is also there, because it emulates, like, okay, if John is lit, like what, like why, where is this light from God, from heaven, like where is it coming from? It needs to come from a source. So anyway, that's kind of the intentionality, at least, behind it. Other modifications that we did was again, separating things from the background. So, and I don't know if anyone has heard of like lighting spaces, not faces. It's a very common like thing that is said. Yes, I have lit our faces with these, but you can't forget about the background. So I turned on a little aperture MC behind the TV, and this TV, like, we have these lights are kind of warm. I wanted it to feel nighttime, so they're set to 3,000 Kelvin, I think. And from this TV, it casts a lot of blue, like a typical, old school TV would cast blue.
Yeah, this is a functional camcorder right now, so.
It's
This
facing
is
all
real
of you.
time. This is from the 1980s.
It's super cool.
It picks up color really interestingly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, this is, obviously this room is very blue, so it's picking up blue tones. So in order to kind of fake...
Sorry.
In order to kind of fake that this TV is emulating or like, emitting light, I put a little blue MC, here I'll show you. Put a little blue MC back here, and it has a little like diffusion dome. So I'm just angling it to the wall, so it gives that like illusion, like, oh, the TV is glowing. But like a regular TV wouldn't do that, but to your eye, it kind of makes sense. And at first, like, do you want me to put that down? Or you're
No,
just,
it's good here. I'm just
you're
filming
putting it?
it.
Okay, cool. At first, like, I don't know, if you look at an image, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, they put a light back there. Like, they're supposed to be tricking you, right? So these little things you'll just pick up over time. Like, don't get super overwhelmed. Just like put some of these little things in your pocket and pull them out next time you're on a set. The other thing to, again, separate yourself from the background and to emphasize that we have like these fake windows with like a beautiful ocean and sunset. We're clearly in Hawaii or something. This spotlight mount here, over here, this is the 600C aperture with a spotlight mount. This basically just directs your light and makes it very concentrated. And because this room is blue, we wanted to just emphasize color. And if you know any of my work, a lot of my commercial work is very poppy and color punchy, which I love. So we leaned into that. Obviously, blue with the TV, complemented with the orange in the background, just splash it. It's called like a gaffer's slash. Everyone loves using them, and it's very functional. The function that it has is to separate you, again, from the background. That is like a huge takeaway from this whole thing. If you can cut your set into chunks, like 1/4 is us, 1/4 is the TV, 1/4 is the wall, that's only 3/4, so I don't know why I did a quarter. It's third, let's say third. Each of those third chunks should be lit differently, right? Like it should separate you. So yeah, those were the modifications. Oh, last thing was the flag. So this panel light here, I put this, when this flag wasn't on, you could see it splashing all on this wall. And this paint is actually very reflective too, so you could see a lot of like, some of the imperfections or maybe even just the glossiness of it. It can be distracting. It doesn't feel real anymore. So in order for me to still be keyed, instead of rotating the entire light, a flag is your best friend. Even if you go on Amazon, a 5-in-1 reflector, which is what this guy is, it's just like a little like piece of fabric. You could even use a shirt, a hoodie, like it could be anything. Sometimes gaff tape is also handy too. But this flag, obviously, because it's on a C-stand, we can be very precise of how the flag is gonna block the light to make sure I'm still keyed, but it's off of the background. So to keep this third of the set consistent where I'm lit, but I'm still separated from another third of the background, that's another takeaway. So yeah, I think that was all the modifications. We didn't talk about the B7s.
Talk about the grids.
No, I did a lot. Did we do a lot? Yeah, we did the flag.
Grids?
We did the spotlight, the MC. No, I have to talk about the grid.
Yeah, grids are something that I personally didn't know how much I would love them until I first used them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very magical tool that's insanely simple.
Yeah,
Tell them about it.
It is
'Cause I
very
know you
simple,
love grids
but
as well.
yeah, you will see them on every set, and they could sometimes be called a honeycomb. They could be called, I don't know. There's lots of names for them. An egg crate, that's another one, a common name. So, but it means the same thing essentially. This allows you to have this light be much more directional. So imagine.
Do you mind off-awning it for us?
Absolutely.
So they can really
Yeah,
see?
you can really see the difference when you put one of these on. Like imagine having this flag, but just a bunch of little ones within the light. Like it's clearly like making him much more defined. Whereas if I take it off, I can't talk and do it at the same time.
Yeah, so light naturally wants to bounce everywhere. So it's going to light up the ceiling, it's going to light up the ground, the backdrop. This is funneling the light only to me and shaping it, which is incredibly powerful.
Like you can even see it's like hitting the tree now, it's hitting like everything. It kind of gets flat, like there's no more, separation, which is what you're looking for. You want to split it up. So if you put it on again,
You can even make these with black tape. As long as you're making a pattern like this, or just shaping the light by creating shape on the outside, you can start to funnel the light, because light bouncing everywhere is what differentiates a lot of the amateurs from the pros.
like now it's off the wall. And then now you can also see what the blue MC is doing, because when this spills everywhere, then you just lose the separation. You're gonna get annoyed at me saying that, but that is the whole thing. You want to separate everything, make it dimensional, make it interesting. You want to like be pulled into whatever this world is, but you also want to make it realistic. So yeah, those were the modifications. So when I talk about, I guess, good lighting, obviously it's subjective, right? Like I don't want to sit here and talk and say like this is the best lighting setup ever. I'm sure there are DPs in this world that would roast the shit out of this, and they'd say, yeah, she doesn't know what she's doing. However, I think it looks okay, and it's like if I feel like there's dimension in my shot, and everyone loves a good practical lamp, like you're good. You can see us clearly. You've got shape to the face. I'm like the levels are good too, and levels I just mean like general exposure, specifically for the FX3. So yeah, I don't know. It's
And
like
just for a bit of context, Nicole and I both walked in here yesterday, basically not having seen the space, which happens a lot. You walk in blind to a space and have to just figure it out in the moment. And both being working professional cinematographers, there is a way in which we can get sort of lazy, where we rely on our gaffers quite a bit. So
yeah.
we basically come up with the lighting plan, and the gaffer executes it. That's the position on a set. He or she is the person who's setting up lights, grids, flags, like pretty much putting everything up, and even manning the iPhone app to the link. So there's a lot of things where you're like, what does the gaffer do again? I'd never really touched this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In context, I guess, in terms of roles, because I had a couple conversations today with a few of you of just like if I want to expand my crew, because I started as a one-man band too. Like a lot of us, we wear a lot of hats. We direct, we produce, we make the budgets, we do all these things, and when we light as well. So I encourage you to be that one-man band first, so that you actually have the like hands-on experience of, okay, I know how to set up an F22, like I know how to set up this light panel, right? Or I know how to program the MCs to my phone, or Because if you are just the DP, then it's like you need to be the leader to coach those people and say, this is exactly what I want. And without playing with it yourself, like you might not know. You might just, and to be honest, it's fine because there's two different DPs. But me personally, coming up from the one-man band thing, it gives you so much more leverage to speak the technical terms first, and DPs and people that are in crew really appreciate that. Instead of saying, I really want a soft source here. People say that. That's a totally fair statement for a DP to tell their gaffer. I want like a soft light hitting my talent. But if you were to say, can you cross key them with 2 panels and match it in like a warm color, that's like even more information. The more information you can give, obviously, the better as a leader, specifically too. So
Yeah, that's really when miscommunication happens, is when something is interpreted differently because you don't have the right vernacular for describing it. If you were to point to that light and say, can you grab that like Tron grid thing and just slap it on there? That's why playing with these lights yourself, spending the time watching tutorials, reading the manuals, and learning the proper terminology for key light, fill light, hair light, grid, apple box, C-stand, grip arm, like all that stuff is super important. And no matter where you're at in your career, eventually, if you want to get into the more professional sets, you're going to need to know this.
Mm-hmm. So we'll do a time check. So in order to replicate this with like not a lot of money,
Let me throw this. So
okay,
a lot of lights you guys see, they might not be sort of affordable in your wheelhouse right now. These lights are what, $600 for that one, and that might more, 1,000. Well, I know the one in the back is like $4 or $5 grand.
yeah, it's nuts.
All these lights were
tens of thousands of
donated
dollars.
by Marty at 1984 Studios, who's very, very kind at giving us like thousands of dollars of light just for free. But that's not really realistic for people starting out. Even though this is a $1,000 light, might not sound that much, to somebody else, it's everything in their bank account. There are ways, I think, to be smart about what you're doing. So we have a little final surprise for you guys.
Yeah, just to make this like more affordable. I'm gonna eat.
So what we're doing now is we're turning off the expensive lights, and we're turning on little lights that are all under $100. These are lights you can buy on Amazon right now.
Or Henry's.
Henry's, yeah. Yeah, they have, so right now Nicole is modifying an Aperture MC light, which is a light that you can get at Henry's, and in fact, we're giving a few away today.
That's right.
From Henry's. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have posted a story from this talk, we're going to be checking later and picking someone at random to give them some prizes. So one story from each person's talk, and then we'll come find you.
One moment. See, if I had it connected to the app, it'd be really easy.
And then you have the iPad for the bass jump.
No, but I could just do it on my camera. It was those 2 lights, that MC. Oh yeah, and then kill the spotlight. Because nobody has money for this spotlight.
And what you guys are seeing in the fixtures, when we walked in, they were just standard off-the-shelf bulbs that were fluorescent. They were extremely bright, so they look terrible in the background. So there's a light called the Aperture B7C. It's an actual screw-in fixture that has digital control. You control it via Bluetooth. This thing's like $80, and it allows you to walk onto a set, take out the gross light bulbs, put in your own, and now you can go any color. You can set the intensity all the way down. This one's at 10%, and this one's at 5%. If we had them at full blast, it would look absolutely hideous.
Change.
And the beauty of the Aperture ecosystem is that you can control all of them with the Sidus Link app. So literally, with my phone, I can control the lights in the bathroom, all the lights in the background, the lights in the other rooms.
Okay, so obviously this is not perfect.
Don't forget about that one.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So if we don't have a tube, you can also grab one of these. It's very bright.
Allie, can you just kill that tube up there? Just the power button on the top.
Yeah, top right.
And these are magnetic, so I can just pop it here. Nice. So So obviously, yeah, it's not perfect, but on a budget, if you got 3 MC lights, you can kind of do the same thing, right? If you
This
just know
entire lighting
placing
setup
and-
is now under $500 for like 5 lights.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, with budget lights, obviously it's not exact because with a bigger light like this, obviously you don't get the grid anymore. They sometimes have the little diffusion, attachments, but it's not as directional. So you lose, like if you really want to dial it in, obviously you kind of have to spend the money. But if you don't have that budget, you also have cameras now that I can jump from 800 ISO to 12,800. So you lose a lot of level, but you can gain it right back with your camera. So there's a lot of things like technology in general. It's just it's changing so fast in a good way. But like if you're on top of it relatively, like don't stress yourself out. But if you're on top of it, you can really leverage it to your use case. Like we can literally light this with, and like I'm still even kind of like, wow, we just did that. That's nuts. So, yeah.
And this is really, we just created the setup last night. I mean, these types of setups usually require pre-lights, which is when you go on the location and you're setting up everything in advance before any actors or anyone else is there. So you can test and play, which is really important for this kind of thing, especially when we've never seen this place before, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you just speak quickly to the lighting diagram you created and what those are?
So a lighting diagram in general, we did come to the space at first, and like I didn't bring any of my lights or anything. I just kind of sketched the space. I said, okay, these are where the windows are. That's probably your first question when you enter a space is like, where are the windows? Because either one, depending on what time of day you're filming, which this is like 2:30 p.m., you're gonna have daylight. If I want this to look like nighttime, not gonna cut it. So good, we have blackout curtains, perfect. That's our first step, is to just remove that. Then when I'm drawing this out, I literally just use my iPad and I use an app called GoodNotes. And you can do it on GoodNotes. You can also just take a photo of the space, and I'll just use markup like on my iPad and just draw. Like, okay, if these are where the chairs are, kind of place where your subject might be. And then I'm literally drawing like with different colors. I'll use like blue for whatever negative stuff I want, and then I'll use yellow for whatever other lights I want. And I just kind of draw like, okay, if I want the light here, I'll directionally, like I'll draw arrows and whatever. So that way at least I'm a little bit prepared. I have like a little bit of a plan. And when I enter set, and I have wonderful helpers that will, allow me to execute it, and with gear and everything, I can say, okay, I want the F-22 here. I want this cross keyed, and like your helpers will know because they have the diagram. So there's a bunch of apps too. I know you sent me that one lighting diagram app too. So.
Yeah, if you just search lighting diagram web app, you can like drop lights in and print it out. It's pretty useful.
I'm pretty sure Sidus has one too.
Yeah.
They have like a whole lighting diagram, so
And
it's fun to play around with. And if you don't have the fixtures themselves, like go on Sidus and just look at it and see like what is actually in the app already, and like play around with that. Another thing, I'm pretty sure it's called lighting. I don't know. There's an Instagram account. It's like lighting diagram something. I can't remember. But if you search on Instagram, there are a bunch where you see the image at the top and then the lighting diagram is at the bottom. And a lot of, even my reference for this was from one of those. So like if you're on any Facebook groups, any of those Instagram posts where you see the breakdown, Colorado Gaffer is another one. He does phenomenal breakdowns. Like if you just kind of study those a little, just on your own time, like it'll make a massive improvement. If you just know where these like pros are putting their lights, it's like, whoa, okay, now I kind of get it. So yeah.
Will you post the diagram on your story? For people
Yeah,
to check
sure.
out? I think it'd be really fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what allowed us to have the communication, because I was acting almost as a pseudo gaffer, like getting everything for the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And without seeing the diagram, I wouldn't know what she wanted and where.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just say I want to like frame left. That's so vague.
Yeah.
But seeing the diagram, there's no way to really misinterpret that. So
Mhm.
we were aligned before we even walked into the room.
Mm-hmm. Totally, yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys like this lighting breakdown. I am available after this if you want to pick my brain, or if, I don't know, you have suggestions, I'm very open to that too. But yeah, that was fun.
I would really encourage you guys to, after Mark's talk, come up and look at the lights. And feel free to ask Nicole questions. Like,
Mhm.
what is this light? Where can I get it?
Yeah, play around with the
can I
settings
try
if you want.
turning
or-
the knobs. Just
Yeah.
don't make it super ugly, please. And if you guys want to come up to me and ask me how the app works for the light fixtures, or even take a look under the lampshade, you can see what's under there. So this is really going to be an active set, so feel free to sit in it, see how you look, and then look at somebody else and see how stuff looks both on and off.
And especially if you are sitting across from someone, maybe they have a different skin tone than you. Cross keying is like another great example of how you can expose for someone who has a darker skin tone versus lighter and still make it balanced. So that's like, I don't know, just another random tidbit of information to throw. But we talked a lot about obviously technical things and like gear, but I know Mark is going to talk about the why more so, and he's very story based. So, and I'm more on the commercial side, so I'm trying to sell you a facade and he's trying to sell you the story. So
Yeah, we're gonna have Mark come up in 1 second, but just before that, I just want to really encourage you guys to follow Nicole on social. She posts a lot of educational content. She's always trying to teach people the things that she's learning. And we're both learning things all the time, right? And what I love about your content is that as soon as you learn something, you repackage it and put it out there. And that's really how it shows that you properly know something, when you're able to teach it to somebody else. So her social is at @nshaps, that's SHAPS. Everyone should go follow her and please tag her, as well as tagging Henry's and 24mm Collective. The hashtag for today is 24mm Lighting Lab. Light Lab, yeah. And yeah, we're going to be taking a peek at that for giving away the prizes after. Mark's here to sort of educate you on the why about lighting and why it's so important and how he uses it. Mark Bone also has a very successful YouTube channel that he has been sharing everything he knows, and an incredible community of people and filmmakers called the Art Documentary, which I'm sure you'll speak about. Are we going? Set up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's set now.
Cool. Looks good to you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. That was very kind. Thank you. Awesome. Is it all right if I stand? Can I do that?
Yeah. This set is
Or
yours.
this is being recorded, so I should sit.
You have height if you want. You have
I
about
have-
up to
There'll
here,
be a
right?
lot of torso in the shot. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah. There. I will sit. I'm very much a walker and a talker, but this is great. Thank you so much, John. Thank you,
You're very
Chris,
welcome.
John, 24mm, Henry's, everyone, for allowing me to come in here and speak. This is so fantastic. My background is documentary. I started in humanitarian work. Someone this morning was asking me, how do you find your niche? And I've always said, I think might have been my dad or one of my mentors said, when your passion and your schedule align, this is where you can find creative fulfillment. So how did I find my niche in filmmaking? How did I come right down to this place where I'm a documentary filmmaker, telling stories about people in existential crisis? That's kind of what I write in the front of all my journals to remind myself who I am. How did I find that? Well, I didn't go into film saying, what part of film do I want to do? I went into film and said, what part of my life do I want to pull into film? And that was, I loved humanitarian work. I loved meeting new people from walks of life that I never experienced. And I said, okay, I really love that. I love just talking to people, finding out who they are. I'm going to bring that into film. And so I just want to encourage you. A lot of people in here are like, am I DP? What kind of do I shoot? Do I like this kind of photos? Put film aside. Film is a vehicle for you to find out what you love. Rather than, some people sometimes use the film to be the thing I love and hoping that they'll find fulfillment that way. It's just the medium. It's just the medium that will help you discover more about yourself, more about this world. So for anyone who's trying to find their niche, put film down for a sec and think about who you are as a person. Write down things you like. What interests you? What shows are you interested in? What books? Who are people in your life that have influenced you? You can start to pull that in. But that's not my talk today. Today is about lighting. And I got 3 key points I want to go through, because when John was awesome, I got to give a shout out to him. I kind of got nervous coming in here and just want to encourage you. We all get nervous, and they're like, we want you to talk about lighting. And I'm like, I know Nicole's work is so amazing. I see John with all his Neon Demon studio stuff. It's incredible. I'm like, that feels like out of my league. Like I'm not always the most technical person. I go based on story. But talking through with them, I came down to, well, I'll talk about my instincts as a director, and I have a cinematography background, how I bring that into my interviews and how I shoot. Because for me as a director, the points I'm about to tell you, the whole goal for my interviews is to make them seamlessly seamlessly fit into my film. If my interviews suddenly feel like something detached from the footage I'm already shooting for my film, suddenly when we cut to that interview, it's gonna feel like a different film. And when you're editing your film, we say the best editing is invisible. So I want the seamless transition to occur between my interviews and my B-roll, my interviews and my scenes. So my goal when I walk into my interviews is how do I make this integrate into my whole film? That might sound overwhelming if you're like, well, I don't know what the rest of my footage is gonna look like. But we're gonna talk today about how that feels cohesive. So the three main points I'm gonna go over today is the first thing I'm doing when I walk into a space is where is the light coming from? Nicole was already touching base on this. So I'm looking at where is it naturally motivated or where is it practically motivated? Naturally just means where is the sunlight coming from? That is natural light. And practical is like these lamps. So when I walk into a space, if I were to walk into this space, we imagine that these are real windows here. This is the simplest thing. This was the biggest like aha moment for me. Looking the direction of where the natural lights come from, or you guys can pull up that window just for a little second here. You know, we have beautiful natural light pouring in through here. So imagine if those were there. Suddenly I love daylight. I'm like, oh yeah, beautiful, white daylight. We can close that. Imagine those windows were open. Or imagine even if they were draped in the background. As soon as you see a window, that will tell you, for me at least, where my key light should be coming from. And that can even be a window in the background. So we see this setup here. If we're looking at the screen, we see these windows here. The idea then would be that we want my key source. So why don't we just knock that off for a sec, where you can dim that?
Yep.
You'll just see in this shot right now, you could relatively, it's not lit for this way, but we have this beautiful orange light coming out of these windows. And we have this light hitting here. In a world, we're stretching here, you could believe that this was motivated from that light. So you can flip that back on. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm making you work here.
No, it's okay.
Get your steps in, 10,000 a day.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a space, the first question I'm asking as a DP, as a director is, okay, where's just the light coming from? And maybe it's in a room like this where there is no natural lights. I'm going, okay, well I have these lamps. So that's where my key, my main light source should come from. I'm looking so that it feels naturally motivated. Why does that matter? Because you might be thinking, well, I'm painting with light, I'm a DP. It matters because our eyes will buy into this idea that that is natural light hitting their face. And for me, in my films, most of my B-roll is naturally lit. I'm following someone through their house. I'm following them in an environment. They're out on a sports field. I was just making a movie about Christopher Bumstead, Seabum. He's an athlete. We're in his gym. He turns off all the lights. I don't want suddenly my interviews to feel like this fully lit set. I want it to naturally, cohesively integrate with that footage of him in his gym. Because his gym is just this building with one big giant garage door. So it's just one high key source. So for me on my interviews, I was going, okay, how do I put Chris into environments where I have similarly just a window light? Or how do I light it that way? I just put a video on my YouTube channel. It's called, it's called Cinematic Lighting, which is really great for the algorithm. Put cinematic in the title. But you'll see me actually go through that. And I put my light on the opposite side of the windows in the background. And when I'm looking at the shot in the video, I go, something doesn't feel right here. And I'm like, oh yeah. My eyes, just looking at this frame, say there can't be daylight coming from a wall. And our eyes will say that. Our eyes will look at that and go, it looks nice, but it looks lit. And what we mean by looking lit, it means that it feels like there's lights on set. That might be your goal if you're doing a music video. But for me, in my documentaries, I want it to feel naturally motivated and beautiful. So all I did was move that light onto the other side where we could see the windows in the background. So just think, if you're putting a rule down, where is the natural light or practical light being motivated from? And then place your lights accordingly from that same direction. And you'll be amazed at how easily you will buy into this. So that's first. Where is the light coming from? Because this is going to dictate where I place my camera and how I set up the interview. The next thing I'm thinking of is what is my background? When you look at a frame, even this frame, if you guys can see this, the background in this case is about 75% of the image, depending on where my weight is in the year. After Christmas, maybe it'll be like 70%. I'll take up more of the frame. But right now, that was a joke about weight, sorry. This is the frame right now. We have this whole space around me. You really need to think about where am I looking, because this is how you're going to be painting that image. But then I want to encourage you with something else. If you're a director or a cinematographer, the next thing you should be thinking about with background is, what is my background? I'm interviewing this person. What is behind me? This has been something that I've taken into consideration in my films, and it's drastically changed the quality of the interview. Because if I'm placing myself as the director with crew in the background, or I've even placed it sometimes where there's a bright light coming from back there, or a hallway, or just anything distracting behind me, I'm immediately removing the connection to be me and my subject. I know if you ever want to hang out with me, don't place me in a restaurant where there's a TV with sports in the background, because I'll listen to you, but I'll stare at it. Just as in an interview, you want to be thinking, what is behind me as a cinematographer? And kind of the role that I'm placing when I'm setting up this is, how much of this interview am I going to see in the film? Do I know we've been shooting a lot of strong footage? Or are we in a situation in our schedule where like we don't have much to shoot in the day, so we're probably going to be relying in the edit on a lot of the interview, like a lot of the character. If you're a DP, this is a great question at the beginning of the day with your director to say, how much of this interview do you imagine seeing in the film? Because if you're not going to see much of it, or it's mostly going to be a voiceover, this is where I love to make the interview as intimate as possible. This is where I find that, my best interviews in my films are been in a hotel room, just me and my subject. We're there, we just have the window light. In the case of the film I just did, I had the chance to interview Chris Williamson from the Modern Wisdom podcast. We knew that he's such a good talker. We wanted this to be a very cinematic interview. We lit it naturally, but it was like, I was 20 feet from him, and we had a ton of crew and all sorts of big lights all around the room. But then when I'm making a film about someone chasing tornadoes for a career, and they're afraid about themselves dying and leaving their family behind, it's a much more intimate interview. And his voiceover, making a film about tornadoes, who cares about a guy on an interview? I want to see tornadoes, I want to see beautiful footage. So I already knew with that film, I'm going to show this interview less. So I'm sitting in a hotel room with him, practically knee to knee. You have one shot, just lighting it with a window. That's where I'm thinking, how much emotion do I need to pull from this interview? If I need a lot of emotion, I don't want it to feel like a film set. I want it to feel like two friends talking, I'm listening, there's the least amount of distractions. I was doing a commercial years ago for Nikon, this is back when budgets were huge, it was the biggest budget thing I've ever worked on. Like €1 million for a documentary. Sometimes too much money isn't helpful because there's like 50 people on set. I wasn't getting the interviews I wanted because there was always 30 people gathered and we got the big lights and lit it. Eventually, I just went into the hotel rooms and just said, I want my sound person and me. Two of us with our characters. Sound person can hide in the corner, and we just sat there knee to knee, and that's how I got the best interviews. So when I'm saying, I'll talk about your background around your character, but what is the background around you? Where are you placing yourself as a director? I'm talking about these things because we can get so hung up on the technical, which is so important because we are creating visual stories. We want them to be visually beautiful. We want to hire amazing cinematographers like Nicole, bring them out there. They're going to bring your story to life. But at the same time, how are we helping real people, even actors, be in the most comfortable environment? The advantage with actors is they're paid to work with lights. That's their whole job, is they're good with a film set. They thrive on a film set. They thrive with many people. But if you're working with, you're doing an interview with a person telling a testimonial about your brands, they used the product, they liked it, or you're just shooting a documentary and this is somebody who's never been on camera, really come into consideration of what is my environment, what's the background, how am I placing them in a space and place so they can be themselves. That's even sometimes, I had a very fun chance to shoot on a film about autism, and these were people who had never appeared in a documentary before. So we just sat in their bedrooms. Definitely didn't chat. But no, we sat in their bedrooms, and we just had we had the parents just outside, so they knew they were there, but we just put them in an environment that they liked. They could pick up their toys or their records, or they could play their piano. We gave them a space and place that felt like that themselves. So that's what I'm thinking of with backgrounds. Also, one small thing for backgrounds is I'm usually trying to avoid putting too many windows in the frame. If I do have a window, that's when I'm like pulling a curtain over, trying to have as much control on the lighting. Or if you go watch that video I was mentioning, one of the best ways to control lighting in a background window is for you to light it, get the biggest light you can possible and punch that through the window. And then my hack is always find a tree if you can. Or you can get grids now that emulate tree branches. Just put that in front of the window so that you can control the consistent light coming through that. So that's your background. So I've spoken so far about where's the natural or practical light coming from, and put your main key lights on that side. And then where is your background. Because again, like I said, really think about not just, I love what Nicole said, is we're lighting spaces, not faces. If you're just focused on the lighting on your person's face, you're forgetting about 70, like in this case, 70% of this frame. And that's why this frame is so interesting, because Nicole and John absolutely crushed it. We have all this beautiful light around here. We have this lamp in the background. We're actually getting to see a lot of interesting space around this. So that's part of the space. Lastly, the thing I want you to ask yourself, you've gone through, you said, where's my light coming from? Okay, what's the background? Is my background good? Maybe I have some extra people on set that don't need to be here. We'll give them a wireless feed. They can leave the room. I really want this to be a nice, intimate interview. Last thing is you're going to ask yourself before you set up everything is, who is my character? You have to think, what are they in this film? Are they the main character? Are they a side character? Are they the client? And based on that, this will determine your lighting. It'll determine where you place them. This will dictate how you frame them. I'm thinking, in my film I was just doing on about this bodybuilder, I knew earlier on he had more questions, he had more uncertainty. So I'm trying to think, I'm like, okay, how can I express this in the frame? Well, I always will sometimes just do a safety, because you never know, someone can talk about something in an interview and you can place it anywhere in the film. So I always have my wide shot, which is a real safe shot, waist up at least, like to show the space. I can use that simple. But then my second angle, this is my creative angle. This is my angle that maybe I want handheld so it feels like my B-roll in my film, so that we're not just cutting to this stagnant wide shot and we go back to beautiful cinematic B-roll and we cut back to this wide shot. I like my second angle being kind of my creative angle. But then I'm also thinking, is this person in a place of tension? So maybe I need to zoom in closer. Maybe I need to make the frame feel uncomfortable. Maybe I need to place them up against the edge of frame. Maybe I need to put it in a way that doesn't feel right, because maybe they're not sure about their journey. Or maybe you're working for a client. They're saying, hey, I love this BMX bike. This is my favorite thing. It's someone who's very excitable. What is your frame there? Where are you placing them? Are they on the BMX track? And are you giving them a nice wide shot so they can talk about the space? Or are you going to light it dark like that film for the tornadoes? Just did one key light, made it very, very ominous. Just a little bit of light on my character's face. You know, there's so much uncertainty for him, so I didn't want the whole frame to be lit. The idea of, this is where you can get creative, and I love metaphors and thinking of like, he doesn't know what's in the future, so maybe I need to put some darkness in front of him in the frame. That's like, not that creative, but it helps in the film. He's just in this dark space, and you're thinking, you're cutting back to dark footage of the tornadoes. We're thinking, who is my character? What are they experiencing right now? And that's going to determine how I light it, what colors to light, where I'm going to place them, and how I'm going to actually treat that whole frame. So I want to encourage you, this isn't just about when you walk onto set, about is my lighting looking perfect? It's perfect if it works for the story, and sometimes perfect can be imperfect. It cannot feel entirely right if you know that's right for my character. This takes time, it takes experience. Don't come right out of the gate and feel all this pressure to be like, I don't know if this is right for the story. It's time to work into that. And I started with all my interviews, used to be one here, I remember then 30 degrees away. That's always, when you place your second camera, you might want to make sure it's like at least 30 degrees over, or else it doesn't cut well. Place that second camera, and as long as they looked good, and I was like, okay, I'm good. Then I started realizing that when I go to my edits, it's suddenly, oh, there's the interview, oh, there's the interview, oh, there's the interview. I wanted it to start seeming more seamless, so it was getting an easy rig, standing from the side, making sure the lighting feels very natural to my B-roll. It's very ominous or soft side lighting. And this way it would cut together in that way. So that's my quick spiel on my interviews. I'd love to open it to some Q&A. I always love answering these questions, but again, just to summarize that, when I'm walking into a space, this has been the most revolutionary part of my cinematography, is first, where is the light coming from? From there, that's where I'm going to place my lights. But before I place my lights, what is my background for both my character and myself? And essentially, when I say myself, you don't have to get too pedantic being like, oh, there's a lamp in the background, they're going to get distracted. What I'm more so saying is, what environment are you creating? Is it noisy? People walking around talking? I always ask crew members, this is a sacred place. Someone is opening up, they're sharing their heart. Even if it's testimonial, I'll go, they're sharing about something they love. Like, let's give them the respect. And I'm trying to create a natural environment. Sometimes I'll hit record, and I'll just start chatting with them. And then as they're talking, get them loosened up, and they'll just come sit down. I'm like, yeah, let's just keep going. Because when you bring out that slate and you make it a whole big moment, it depends on the person. Some people love that. They love to get jacked up. I know for Chris Williamson, you know, does podcasts for his whole life. He would want it to feel like we're recording, we're all eyes on Chris. He's a performer, that's who he is. But other people I've worked with, they've never done an interview, so we'll sit them down on their couch in their living room, we'll put one light off to the side, sometimes no lights, and we'll just roll seamlessly into the interview. And then lastly, like I said, is who is your character? This is where you get to be really creative, is just thinking about what is their story, and having some better idea of what the beginning, middle, and end is of their story can help you create this interview. And sometimes doing an interview twice is great. You may not have everything that you want in that first one, and you can shoot them again in a much more exciting environment if they've achieved their goal in your film. So, we'd love to answer, if there is any Q&A, no pressure, or maybe Nicole, you have some, we can jump in.
Am I good to join it?
Yeah, we're just gonna do a little sort of dual Q&A.
Oh, I love it, yeah, that's great.
I'm just gonna sort of be behind you
Are
guys.
you gonna shoot it with the VHS?
Pop this on your...
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, first of all, let's just give it up for Mark. That was an amazing
Is that on? Perfect.
Nice job. No, thank you. I was locked in.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions because a lot of information is just provided for you. But before we get to that, I just want to ask you guys some questions that sort of came up for me. And one of the biggest questions I had when I was starting out is what light to buy if I had to buy one.
Great.
Because a lot of people are overwhelmed. There is such a selection, and it can be super confusing with YouTubers and ads just like shouting information at you that you don't know whether it's good or not. So if you guys had to recommend one light to start with, what would that be?
One of my first lights I owned was Falcon Eyes, I think an F22C that we had up there.
That's this one, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
and
gonna.
why it was ones that you could roll up, so it was really great. I could put it into a suitcase, I could roll that up. It was also big and soft naturally out of the gate. You could just put that little box on it and then add the diffusion and add a grid. Remember this, put your grid on the outside. I once on one of my YouTube videos in the early days put it on the inside and was like, always use a grid. And then like all the gaffers came and roasted me. It's great. Your comment sections keep you on your toes. It does nothing if it's inside the diffusion. As you can imagine, it's not changing the direction of the light. But yeah, I'd just say having a thin kind of soft box square one, it's no slag on like a bigger, like I light my YouTube videos with my 600 and a giant parabolic 90 centimeter softbox. But that's because I have the space and I have the counterweights. But if I'm traveling, I need a light setup. The F22C is super light. You can throw it on a stand and not worry about it tipping over for the most part if you have a sandbag on the bottom. And it packs up light, and it's really light and easy to move. And you can put it above, you can Velcro it to a ceiling. So yeah, if you're starting off, you know, you don't even have to go buy one of the best ones, but go find one at Henry's and find an affordable, like a affordable softbox, very much like the F22C. And here's the thing: is if you're like, oh, it's a bit much money, I say invest in it because Nicole's still using it. I still have mine years later. They in theory shouldn't stop working.
Yep, that was my very first light, the Falcon Eye. It's the same thing, and it's also bicolor, which basically means you can go daylight, so it's kind of colder, or you can go warm like this, depending on your scene. So you literally summed it up. I love that light. It's light. It's quite affordable considering the versatility of it, and you'll have it forever. You'll literally have it forever.
Yeah.
One of the best things that was taught to me when I was an up-and-coming DP was if you don't have access to lights, just start removing light.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of ways in which people can be cinematographers without actually having to buy a single light. What kind of tricks do you guys know which they can use something at home, or like what's the process of like removing a light? What does that mean to you?
I think for me, it's a good way. The way I kind of treat it is, imagine windows or lights that you actually set up, and then just pretend that your gaffer had to go home. And he's like, if you touch that light, I'll never work with you again. So it's like, he's like, but you can use curtains. He's a really particular gaffer. Just imagine though, it's like if we were to open those windows, we don't have to, but that's just a light. Just imagine that being a giant Falcon Eyes. And so when I started imagining windows that way, it was less about how do I can't move the window. It's, well, how do I move my set? Where do I place my camera and where do I place my person? So John's right about you come in, you turn off all the house lights and just see where the light is naturally coming from. Like, is it coming from a window, or if you turn on this lamp? But then my favorite thing is, and it helps you both, it's really good to understand how to position cameras and people in accordance to lighting, because it's easier to move someone and it's easier to move your camera than it is to move a light. And so if you can just reposition your characters and find out, 90 degrees gets me this shadow, and 180 from the light's too bright on the camera, so I'm going to shoot this like 180 to between 90. I'm going to move my camera here. Then not only are you good at like lighting an interview, but your B-roll, you start like encouraging someone. You're like, what if you? I know I don't know why they're cooking, and you're like, well, what if you just like went around this side of the table? Because you're like, you notice the window there. So for me, it was mostly just imagining all the windows in the houses were lights, and I get to determine if I don't want to use the light, that means I put the curtain across. If I want it to be softer, I put the shears. And having some shears, this is so affordable for like $25. Go to, or buy the real ones from Henry's, but you can also go to any sort of store and get like either a shower curtain or actually just have shears. And you can just, they're so light, you can tape them to the window and you instantly have diffusion on it.
I actually made a YouTube video about this, so,
cool.
So shameless plug. But it was a really cool experiment because I wanted to do that exact thing. I wanted to challenge myself to say, okay, I want to light a commercial without lights. Like, how am I going to do that on a budget? So Mark's talking about the interior, but this entire commercial was shot outside. And the one tip that I have is to understand where the sun is at every point in the day. And that comes down to you as the creative, and as if you're also producing, you got to communicate with the client to say, if we're going to do, this shoot, everything that is a driving shot should happen after 3 p.m. And you only know that because the sun is now, imagine we had this Falcon Eyes without the grid. It was just even like a COB light, like a regular light. It was just shining from above this room. It's top lit. If you're ever out and about and you're it's noon, look at what the sun is doing around you. It's horrible. And it's only like horrible because it's, it's not controlled. It's very harsh. It's not flattering. And so my tip is you don't even have to use anything. Just know where the sun is going to be, and that is your greatest source. Know where the sun is. Is it cloudy? Great. You got natural shears in the sky. So it's just, it's a matter of knowing where the sun is going to be, and a great app to do that is Sunseeker. If anyone wants to download Sunseeker and just check it out, it's basically an app on your phone, and if you go outside, it'll tell you at 3 p.m. the sun will be at this point. So in that YouTube video I was talking about, shameless plug, Nicole Shapiro on YouTube, if you go and watch it, I do have like images of, literally I drew it on my iPad. I wanted this car shot, and if your car is driving from east to west, the sun sets in the west, right? Drives in the east, sets in the west, yeah, that's the saying. So if you're driving, this is so niche specific, but it was a really cool game changer where if you want your subject to naturally be backlit, right, which is exactly what we did here, our light is backlighting me relatively, your sun has to be setting in the west, which means if your talent is facing east and the sun is back there, you're good, which means your road has to be east-west. If you're north-south, you're gonna get a weird side light. Anyway, watch the YouTube video if you want to learn more. That's all.
And it's great to buy a light from Henry's, like a little amateur MC, but one light is often difficult to use because you sort of need, if you're gonna use one light, you sort of need 3 in a way. And let's not all forget that we all have lights in our pockets right now. I mean, your phone can very easily be a light. Whether you're using the flashlight on the back, sorry, it's an ad.
I was like, are you giving away something?
There's an app that I really like called My Light, in which you can use the flashlight on the back, but it also allows you to use colors on the front. So you can set this to any color, and it puts the brightness to max.
Wow.
So
Oh, that's
all of a
cool.
sudden, if you have like an After MC as a key, you can set this as a fill.
That's literally an MC.
I-
It's the same size.
I literally lit my YouTube, like the first
it's doing quite a bit.
2 months was just I had a giant white monitor, and I would just open up Word doc and just like zoom in. Literally, I was like, yeah, it looks good.
YouTube white
And then I would
screen
get
for 24
I would get
hours.
so close to the monitor. Like the closer you are to a light, the softer it will appear because it will have more wrap. So it's just like got really close to my monitor. So that was my budget way of lighting.
Nice.
There's Sunseeker, by the way. That's like, you can look right now. It's telling us where the sun is, and it's right behind you guys. So it's not someone when you're like, is there? But it's through the window. But that's where you can plan. If I were to look at this and go, oh, it's going to be there at 11 a.m. It's a great way to schedule your day. It's like Nicole said, rise in the east, sets in the west. So even if you had a compass and you're in a room and you go, okay, these windows are east facing, So let's shoot our B-roll here in the morning. You know, it's just a quick way to know the space.
And I want to open up questions, so if you guys started thinking about questions, I just want to have one last sort of takeaway from both of you. If you were to give everyone here, pretending like they're a class of students, you want to give them some homework, for someone to literally go home and try lighting themselves, what would be a good starting point for that? What would you recommend on homework for the class here from a lighting perspective?
Good question. I want to think of something.
I can go.
Yeah, you go
if
first.
You need a moment.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to, I mean, I'll be the nice teacher. It comes down to your personality of if you are a doer or if you're like a watcher, depending on how you learn. So if you love watching and you absorb information really well, the Wandering DP, 100% watch the Wandering DP. He is incredible at what he does. I have watched so many of his lighting breakdowns. And if you are watching his lighting breakdowns, actually draw out his own drawings. Like draw it for yourself on your iPad, on a piece of paper, like whatever. Make sure that whatever you're watching on YouTube, you're actually like absorbing, taking it in. And then if you are more of a doer, which I am, which it's kind of hybrid, I guess, because all of the stuff I am watching applies. But if you are a doer, exactly what I said about the sun, start with the sun. If you literally have no lights, you have no money, you're like, how do I understand lighting better? The sun is your best friend. So Sunseeker for sure. And just having it being conscious of it, just having it in your back pocket of, okay, it's noon. What does the city look like right now? Where is the sun? Why are the shadows of the buildings on the ground this way? Do I like that? Do I want to remember for the next time I'm downtown? Oh, at this time, the buildings look really cool this way. So it's just observing your natural environment and what the sun is doing.
Okay, so homework lesson number one is, first of all, follow more educational DPs like Nicole, and pay attention to the sun from a lighting perspective. Not necessarily for movement, but what does it do at different times of the day, and how can I pay more attention to its position in the sky relative to my shoot?
Yeah. I think there's three powerful things you can do with lighting. It's your person's proximity, how close they are to a light. It's how soft is that light, so how are you diffusing it? And then, like John was talking about earlier, what light are you getting rid of? So my homework to you would be find a light in your house or someone else's, use just a basic sheer, or you can get a shower curtain in front of that window, and then find something what we call negative fill. This can be literal, like a 4x4 floppy. That's the professional one. That's one of those big black squares. It could be the backside of some of these, if you even put the case over your bounce here, or your diffusion, if you use the actual case, that's negative fill now. Just any black, opaque sheet, material, couch, anything you want. Literally, I've had people on set who've been wearing a black jacket, and I'll be like, can you just come stand right off frame? Get them, black out the light. So what you want to do is place someone close to a window, diffuse it, and then bring in negative fill, and just watch. Bring the negative fill in, bring it out, and you're going to watch the shadows come in, you're going to watch the shadows disappear, and then play with where your camera's placing. If you can get this dance naturally in your mind, you're suddenly going to look in the room and just seeing all these shapes of light coming out of windows. And you're going to go, oh, if I place my character there and my camera there, you're going to walk into rooms, and that's how you're going to get hired more as a DP, because people just go, well, I know when so-and-so, I know when Nicole walks into a room, she knows exactly, like she just gets the best B-roll all the time. I don't know how, it's magic. It's not magic, it's them knowing where the light's placing, where the shadows are, and what the quality of light it is. So my homework for you, I know that was a lot, I'm doing a lesson in the middle of this, but is find a window, diffuse it, bring in negative fill, and play around. And then just watch your footage and take notes. Just look at the footage. It's like you have to practice in order to understand it.
Yeah.
Great, thank you guys. So questions from the audience real quick. I can come to you. Who's got a question for either Mark or Nicole? Yeah, you want to step forward here?
Do you find when you're lighting a lot of people and all of a sudden someone sits down with glasses, does that mess everything up?
It can, I guess. I mean, I have glasses, right? I think it's the angle. Coming a bit higher, I'm sure Nicole would face this more than I do, being in a commercial world. Because, but it can, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe my glasses don't even have any special coating. I find...
Sometimes there's glare, or like, without using too many flags and other things to make it super complicated, right?
Yeah. I know, for me, I guess that's the beautiful, go into documentary because this stuff doesn't matter. But what do you do in a commercial?
Do you ever, but if you have someone who is wearing glasses, do you tell them just keep them on because it's part of who they are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I find, because two things happen. If you ask them to take it off, there's always those big red marks.
True.
Thirdly, they might not see you, or secondly. And then thirdly is instantly when you tell someone to change something about themselves, it's like a great way to make someone insecure. You're like, can you take your glasses off? And then like, oh, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm like here to support you. If I ever do need someone to have that, I just lambast the craft of filmmaking. Like, I just want to let you know, our cameras, they're so annoying. I'm like, they pick up glare. I go, I love your glasses. I absolutely love them. I just, unfortunately, can we, like, if I had to. But I find it's a great way when the second I start changing stuff about people, it's like, you know, you want to do that before you ever get to camera, because when they sit down, you're like, oh, we're just going to change your hair. Then they're thinking like, some people like love it. It just depends. Again, every person's different. Some people like feel supported, like, oh, thank you, yeah, I wanted my hair to change. But then other people are like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Like, you know, so-
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
In the commercial space, I don't get it as much because we have very full control of the casting.
And you have glasses that have anti-glare and stuff
Yeah,
like this.
polarizers, that's another, like
Yeah.
circular polarizers, that gets rid of a lot of glare, so that's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
There was one thing I've used in the past too, which I just asked them to slightly bring the glasses down
Yeah.
right to their nose, because these are giant mirrors.
Mhm.
Maybe not that expensive. Even like a slight move, like a
Yeah.
couple millimeters, now the mirrors are facing down, which is having like the
Great way to think about it.
lights are gonna be there. So
One thing actually, sorry, before we do another question, if you experience any glare on artwork, that's one thing in the commercial space we
Yeah, that
experience
happens.
a lot.
That happens.
If there's like, especially in interiors, grab a piece of gaff tape and roll it up into a ball
Mhm.
and make sure it's not super sticky, and you just place it, like, I don't know if I can, maybe I'll just use this as like an example. Look, can you hold this up for me? If that was on the wall,
Get the shine on it there. You'll show them.
yeah, maybe.
So look at don't look at this. Look at the monitor
Yeah,
here.
the
You're gonna see the
monitor.
shine in the shine.
What I would do, because this is nailed on the wall, and you also don't want to, like, most of the time I don't want to touch anything expensive,
Yeah.
right? So you just roll up a piece of gaff tape and you stick it under here and you just lift it. I mean, for this, obviously, the light is literally hitting it up from up top.
You can
but-
see the reflections changing on it just by changing the
Yeah,
angle.
just by changing the angle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it's the mirror thing. If pictures like a mirror, just imagine the bounce reflection, right?
yeah,
I
one
think we have
little
time
tip.
for one or two more questions. One more question.
One
so
more.
Let's make it a good one. Anyone? Yeah. Okay, Anthony.
Okay, so interviewing people. This isn't related to lighting. Sometimes you interview them and they give you a really long
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, man, I really just wanted like 10 seconds or something really. How do you keep that organic and still like get what you want out of it?
It's Great question. People often, when that's happening is people haven't told their story before, so they don't know what details matter. They're actually processing it in real time. So there's a few techniques. Either ask it in a different way, and they're not going to give you that whole answer again because they've just exhausted themselves. You're like, wow, that was amazing. You're like, so am I understanding this about that story correctly? And they go, yeah, like my hockey coach never said good job, and so I always felt like, it's like they'll summarize that one key point, or I literally will sometimes be like, that's amazing. I go, I really want that story in here. Can you help just summarize that in a few, just help me summarize the main takeaway from that? Or again, I'll just say to them like, if you could tell me the most important part of that era in your hockey career, how would you summarize that in a sentence? It's like I help them shave it down. I never criticize what they just did. Again, it's always that dance of like, I want people, I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. I really want them to feel like they're crushing it. And then I use that as a positive, like what you just said was amazing. Let's make sure like I want to understand this. So it's almost like kind of incepting them to give it shorter. And then the last case scenarios, I just tell them, I go, hey, like, this is a 45-second commercial. Like, I want it, what was that one, you help them then. After a while, it becomes almost like kind of fun, like they'll recognize it, but it helps you to have done a pre-interview sometimes, it's always that dance with a pre-interview of how much did they tell me in this pre-interview. You don't want to get them to say too much because you want to save it, but it's knowing a little bit of their story ahead of time so you can help guide them. But yeah, that always happens, and then again, I wear them down. I just keep asking them the same question in different ways, and eventually they're just like, yeah, my hockey coach never said I was good, rather than going into it. All started when my shin guards were smelly, and it was like, it's like, they're gonna tell you all of that. So yeah, it's like shaving down the sculpture.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We still have a lot of fun shooting to take place. So let's give one final round of applause for Mark and Nicole.
can I give? So can I just say one thing? Kimbo Slice there, Kimberly, she's on my team for Art of Documentary. Very unique for this. We have special 30% off codes to the Art of Documentary community. That's our academy. Just if you want to get that, you can't get the course on sale right now, but we do have a limited time code. You can come find her. She'll give you a little card, and you can scan that in, put that in. But if you want to learn more about doc filmmaking, that's our academy. Thank you.
And for anybody that posted during Mark's talk, we have a DJI Mic Mini given away from Henry's, and that is going to Isaiah Amino. Is Isaiah?
Hey, congrats. Wow, that is real time. That's because Canada Post doesn't work right now, so we had to do that.
And we got a $50 gift card to Cody NG. There we go.
Hey, congrats, Cody.
And we have about 45 minutes left of shooting time. Our models are going to be jumping back into all the scenes here, but there's just a reminder that we actually have a bunch of giveaways to do at 4:30. So come meet us back here. If you guys posted content during the event right now on your feeds using 24mm Light Lab and you tag Henry's, we have about another $800 worth of prizes to give away here at the end for this.
Yeah.
And then on the bigger side of it is a giant reminder of the ambassador program, which will happen if you guys want to spend more time on your content. You know, within a week of today, Henry's is going to be looking at all your content. They're going to be picking one of you to be an influencer for Henry's, which is a really exciting opportunity for anybody that's looking to get into the content space. And our last giveaway that we're going to be doing at 4:30 is also Mise en Film, which is the studio here, is giving a half-day shoot for the entire
full day.
studio.
Full day.
Yeah, okay, well, now it's a full day. That's about a $750 value, and if you follow me on Films, and he'll be looking at the hashtag 24mm Light Lab. That's all the giveaways we're going to be doing, and also just a big shout out to Marty, who's in the back. Marty gave us a massive help with all of the lighting here, so if you guys have any rental needs on the higher end of cinematography, go and hit up our boy in the back there. He's amazing. Enjoy shooting. Thank you all for being here, and once again,
Thank
Mark,
you.
Nicole, and John.
And guys, just one last thing.